Hey guys, Sam here again. This video is all about eye contact and how essential it is to really connect with your audience through your eyes on video. Now, the first thing I want to address is, and ask the question is, are you filming on your iPhone? If so, it's essential, it's absolutely essential that you do not look at the display screen. The display screen is not the lens. That is the lens there. The display screen is not the lens. So what I suggest you to do is actually never ever have the display screen facing you when you're filming, but rather turn it around, and therefore all you've got to look at is the lens, which is right there. So see the difference? That would be the display screen, that's the lens. So do not make the mistake of filming yourself and looking at yourself in the mirror kind of thing with the display screen and think that you're connecting with your audience, because you're way off a connection. So don't commit that fatal mistake. So know where the lens is on the camera and then look at it. Secondly, I want you to try and, rather than just looking at the blank, the lens as though it's a circle in front of you, I want you to try and penetrate that lens and look through it and think of one person on the other side. Now, I like to think of someone that I know that could most benefit from what I'm telling them. Somebody I know that my information would hit a note with, because then I'm more likely to really want to look through that lens and find them and speak just to them. And when you speak to one person, your audience, no matter how big, 300, 3,000, how do you know? You don't know who's going to be or how many people are watching your video. They're going to feel that you're talking just to them. And I hope you get that feeling from me when I talk to you. So look through the lens and picture just one person only. Now, the next thing is, make sure you blink. And it's really quite funny, but sometimes, and quite often, a lot of people need to be reminded to blink, because what is quite common when people are on camera is that they get a stare happening. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm really going to focus on that lens and I can't deviate off it. And therefore, they open their eyes a little bit wider and they don't blink. And what happens then is their eyes dry up and it becomes really quite awkward. And they sometimes look like a deer in the headlights. And that's not the look we want to have. So make sure you actually blink. So you actually just maybe do a little test shot of yourself and then play it back and see if you do blink. And if you don't, just add a few blinks in, because it's natural to blink. The next thing I want to talk about is making sure you either look at the lens or look away quite deliberately and then look back. It's absolutely fine to look away from the lens. Looking off camera like that is fine. Looking down at your notes is fine. But it's really not okay to just deviate your eyes a little bit off lens. So like to sneak them off lens like that. Can you see what I'm doing? I decided to film myself a little bit closer up in this video so that you can actually see my eyes a little bit better. But I've just been talking to you, deviating my eyes just a little bit off lens and coming back to you. And can you see how off-putting that is? It looks as though something's caught my eye, that I'm slightly distracted, and I disengage with you straight away. So if you want to look off camera, if someone walks into the room, it's fine, look at them, even acknowledge them, come back. Look at your notes. It's fine to use notes as well. Prompt cards, whatever it is. If you're thinking about something and you want to look away and then come back, or gather your thoughts. All of that's okay. Just don't do it sneakily. Don't sneak your eyes slightly off the lens and back, because that's what's off-putting. So make it deliberate. The other thing too is that, see how I can turn my head a little bit and still eyeball you? So head movement adds a little bit of variety. So I'm not actually really moving from the framing. I'm staying right smack bang in my center, or off to the side is fine as well if you're wanting to use graphics to one side. But I'm staying still, but I'm just bringing in a little head turn, but I'm still got eye contact with you. And that actually can just bring a little bit of softness to you. If you're wanting to be quite authoritative, I would command a square on, straight to camera look, shoulders back, and ground your feet into the ground and look straight at the camera that way. I wouldn't soften it up like this. But if you're wanting to be a little bit soft, you can slink down a little bit, or just turn your head a little bit to one side, or even tip it off to one side or the other. and it softens it right up. It lightens up your message quite a lot. I'm sure you can actually feel that when I just tilt my head like that. But if you're wanting to be authoritative, I'd keep my head still, maybe just a slight nod every now and then, and stay still and square on to the camera. So I think that's about it for eye contact. So look through the lens. Don't look at it, because that'll stop that blank deer in the headlights stare. Think about the one person that you're talking to. Don't think about hundreds of people that might be watching the video. Think about one person, and that person that you most want to connect to and connect with. Make sure you know where the lens is and do not look at your display screen. And of course, if you want to look off camera, you can do that and come back, or look at your notes and come back. Just don't be sneaky with your eyes and keeping them sort of front on but not at the lens, because that is what's most obvious. And of course, if you want to soften up your look a little bit, you can turn your head but keep your eyes on camera. So I think that's about it. Go away and practice it, do a few practice runs, and I'm sure you'll really start to feel the difference when you look at yourself back in terms of when you apply some of these techniques. Hope it helps. I'll see you in the next video.